Hi, my name is Wendy Little with Creation Depot, and today's podcast we're going to be talking about how users view your website when they come to your site. There's a whole psychology behind when someone looks at content, how they perceive the content, what makes them go from reading, scanning to buying to making some other kind of call to action. Like there is a whole psychology behind it, and we're going to talk about that today about how a user will look at your website, what they're going to look at first, what you should put where so that you get the best return on investment for your website. All right, let's get started. Pulling back the curtain on what makes websites work, simplifying how you can make them better yourself, and holding your hand through the entire process. I'm your host, Wendy Literal, and you're listening to the Creation Depot podcast. All right, so the very first topic we're going to talk about is scanning. Basically, when a user loads a website, and you know this from when you have gone to a website and you're looking for something, right? When you look for something, you're not looking for something, right? When you look for something, you're not reading every single word, every single syllable that is on that page. You're scanning the headlines. You're looking for batches of words that will jump out at you that make sense to what you're trying to find or locate. You've got an agenda. You're looking for something. You went to that webpage to look for some piece of information that's going to get you to where you want to go. And that is what everybody does when they go to a website. There are some exceptions. Like if you go to a news website, you're there to read the article, and even those sites have like there's even studies done on those where it's like the user will only read like the first 40% of the article, or they will, that number's not right, but it's something small. And like even the people that are reading the articles, they're still scanning to get the gist of the article, form an opinion, and move on to the next thing. And it's something to consider because, and you're doing your SEO practices and you're putting things where you want them to be. You're writing it so that your page gets found in search, and you're writing your page so that it has the most value and the most content. But if you don't break that sucker up, which is what we're going to talk about, you're going to lose people so quick, because even though the thing that they're looking for is probably on the page, if they can't find it within like the first 4 seconds, they're going to bounce and go to the next one and just presume that you don't have it, even though you do. So when you're formatting your content, and I do have an SEO blog, shameless plug, I have a SEO basic blog post template, and it's on sale right now for $7. It's normally $27. And basically what I did is using the scanning principle, you go through and I show you what you want to have: a list over here of these objects. You want to have paragraphs here of these objects. You want to have paragraphs that are no more than 2 sentences long. And I know that sounds ridiculous. It goes against everything that we learned in grade school and high school and everywhere else. Like when you write for the web, you're writing like you're writing to like a second grader. Your level of academic expertise goes way down. And I'm not making that second grader term up. That's actually something when you look for how hard, like there's actual gauges that you can filter your content through, and it will tell you what grade level your writing is at. You want to shoot for the second grade. And that sounds silly, but when our scanning brains are turned on, that simple writing makes it easier for the user to find the content they're looking for. And that's just fact. The simpler you make it, the simpler it is. And that includes the grammar, of course. So back to laying out the page. When you're going to lay out the page, have or the subheads and the headers and the titles and all that. But you also want to break up your paragraph content. No one is going to read a page that's like, 2,000 words of straight paragraphs and no pictures and no lists and no call out quotes and no dividers and not broken up in any way, shape, or form, because it's just overwhelming. It's just too much information, and they don't want that information. They just want that one nugget, that one piece of content that they went there for. Because when you're surfing the web, how often are you looking for an essay? You're not. You're looking for where was that restaurant located? Or how was I supposed to make that lasagna? Like that's the things you're looking for. And those websites, they need to be designed in a way that will allow people to scan, scroll, scroll, scroll. And by the way, the pro tip, nobody cares about scrolling. You can make your website, your webpage, you can make your website, your webpage super duper long, and it's totally fine. Studies show that people don't care about scrolling. I mean, look at your Facebook and Instagram feeds. You will sit there and scroll that sucker forever. No problems. The same thing goes, as they found, through websites. It's gospel truth. That's the total truth. You can make your website super long and nobody cares. But if you make them have to click off to other pages, people don't want to click. They just want to, scroll. They want to do the swipe. That's all they want to do. So keep that in mind, is that if you're worried about making your webpage longer because maybe you took a paragraph and you made it into like a 10-point list, or you added images and it pushed all your content down, don't worry about that. That's totally fine. You can still put the same amount of content, the same amount of words on the page. You're just formatting in a way that breaks it up and makes it just a simple, easy read for the user. So that a user can scan the headlines, find what they want to do, or they see a list, or they see a call out quote, or they see an image that resonates with what they're trying to do. Remember, images are very important as well. All those things matter when making something scannable. All right. So the next thing, kind of in the same vein, but depending on what your language is, if you're reading something in Hebrew, you're going to be going right to left. But if you're reading something in English, you're going to be going left to right. You need to know what your target audience is and what language they're going to be looking at it in and what they're accustomed to. So, and the reason that this is important is I'm not talking about so much the words. Yeah, the words are important, but when a user scans your site, they go from the left to the right, and then they go top to bottom. So keep in mind that the things at the top left of your web page are going to get the most eyeballs. Right are going to get the least amount if you're set up on an English setup. So when you're looking at your layout on your web page, you want to make sure that the things that are most important, of course, are at the top, but the things that you want to grab people's attention, like keywords, are at the left side of those headlines you're writing, because people read left to right. If they're scanning and they only catch the first 3 words of a headline that's maybe 10 words long, and your keyword, the thing that they're looking for, is on the right side, they might just flip right past it and not realize it. So when you're doing your formatting, make sure that you've got those key things on the left side, at the very least, depending on how long your page is, and then the things that are like the hooks, the things that the gotchas, are at the top left, right? So keep that in mind. Hey everyone, I wanted to take a quick minute and tell you guys all about my new SEO blog post. Template. Now, I know this is kind of a weird interruption for this episode that we're talking about, but I do want to go ahead and mention it because, one, it's a new product and I'm really excited about it because it's not new to me. This is the template that I've been using for a while now on my blog posts because I'm a research and notes kind of girl, and I need to have everything written down in a straight, orderly fashion so that I remember all the little tips and tricks so I can use them for my stuff. And when I got through doing this, I thought, this would be a really good product to sell because it's very useful. All it is that it is an ebook that talks about all the different things and the why behind everything, like how you do your keyword research, why you would get results out of these certain keywords and not these other keywords. But also it's a template that actually outlines from headlines to subheaders to the elements that go on the page, where you should put them and where you should put those keywords that you just did all that hard research for, and how you can bolster your authority under your niche. So that's why I think it's important. That's why I think you should use it. And right now, as of October 20th, 2020, we've got it on sale for $7. Normally it's $27. Now that does end the end of November. So December 1st, it's going back up to $27. But right now it's $7, and I really think you guys are going to love it. It's really good stuff. And you can find it over at creationdepot.com/SEO-template. All right, that's it. Let's get back to the episode. All right. And now the next thing is going to be, well, this kind of pulls into the left to right, is the rule of thirds. You want to make sure that your top content is the most important. Your middle content is kind of, if you're going to put filler, your filler. And then the bottom content is the call to actions, the send where someone's going to go when they're done. So like if somebody's reading, and we've all done this where we've read like the first couple paragraphs and we're like, okay, I'm hooked. I just want to flip to the bottom and you click on whatever the action item is. Like whether it's, all right, I'll go download this ebook. Well, you go to the bottom and you do it. Like you want to set up your page in a way that makes sense for the standard utilization of a web page. So if you haven't, so don't get crazy and put things in a whole bunch of modular like pop-up windows. When you're super creative, you end up losing a whole lot of people. And that doesn't mean you can't be creative. It's that you have to be creative within boundaries, within guidelines. So keep that in mind when you're doing your layouts. Is that, again, top is the most important, bottom, middle is kind of like the filler. Middle is the part that makes Google happy. That's kind of what you're going to think. If you're going to put any kind of SEO filler, put it in the middle, because the bottom is the part that's going to get people going where you want them to go, the next action item that they're going to take, and the top is just to hook them in. So keep that in mind. And then the last thing is at the time on page. We talked about this a little bit before, that how time on page is like 10 seconds is kind of, it's pushing it. I don't think people do. That's the studies I see is like, 10 seconds and people are gone. I think it's way less than that. I think it's around 4 to 5 seconds. And when people are viewing your website, that 5 to 10 seconds starts the minute they click the link that brought them to your page. So think about that. If your website loads slowly, or it loads in a horrible order, and by that I mean like you might get like the site structure, the paint is what it's called, the first paint of your site, where the first thing you get anything visual is called the first paint. You might get that right away, but then as things load, the page will reorder itself and kind of bump around and things like that. I'm looking at you, Kohl's. You're terrible about this. If you want to see a terrible loading website, go to Kohl's.com. Like their site will load, and then all of a sudden, they were doing, I don't know if they're still doing the ads, but they would put in ads like Google AdSense ads, like not even like custom ads, and they would load and they would pop everything down. So you'd be going to click on a size, and all of a sudden your cursor was on like a picture above the thing that you were going to click on, because the page loaded and then it pushed all your content down. So now you have to scroll down and click on it. It makes for a terrible user interface, user experience. It's awful. So those are things you want to consider, because when you're having the time on page starting from the moment somebody first enters the experience with you, which is when they first click on a link at the other page, you want that to be seamless. You want it to be easy. So if you're going to have something show up like right away, like if you want that quick loading time to show up on your Google Insights, if you want that, got to make sure that it loads in a seamless way, because otherwise you're going to create a bad user experience on the other end, and the time on page won't matter because people are going to leave. And that said, on the other side of that, the flip side is that when the time on page starts, you want people to be able to get to what the hook is, the top left, like we talked about with the headers and the information, the thing that's going to make them wait for the page to load. You want that to show up first. Like that's the thing that you want to show. So you want to do anything you can do, optimize your images, get your JavaScript so that it loads maybe after the first paint of the site loads, depending on what the script is doing. All those little tiny things, they add up to a faster page load. And when you have a faster page load, people stick around. They have a better user experience with you, and they'll be more patient to more information, because they'll get the initial information, that initial bite of food, that initial bite of information immediately. And that matters so much when you're trying to hook people against all these other competing websites. If yours loads faster and it shows the user the intended content, you're going to win. And you'll win also because Google will know. Google knows about what pages load faster than other pages, and it will promote yours over somebody else's that loads slower, that maybe has similar information, because they want to give their users, the people using their search, a better experience. So it's an SEO thing as well as a user experience thing. So, all right, so that's my 4 tips for today. I do want to again plug my basic SEO blog post template. I've worked really hard on it. I really think it's useful. I use it because a lot of times when I go to lay out these concepts and everything, I think I'm an okay writer, but I honestly need just like a little push sometimes to make things go. Like I'll have my outline, I'll have everything to do, but then going from the outline to the paper, eh, sometimes it's a little hard, the virtual paper there. And having the template just makes it brainless because I know what my keywords are. I know where I got to put my keywords, and I know where the images should go, and I can kind of play with my elements about my lists and my call outs and everything. Now, once I got the content written and there. So I use it. I think it's good. That's why I decided to make it into a product and try to sell it. So if you want to check that out, you just go to creationdepot.com/SEO-template, and it'll take you right to the page that shows you all about it with little screenshots about what the templates look like. So, all right, guys, I think that's going to do it for now. If you have any questions, please do reach out to me on the website or Instagram. It's just Wendy_literal, 2 T's, LITTERAL. On Instagram, or just wendyliteral@creationdepot.com if you want to email me. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Thank you for listening to the Creation Depot podcast. I'm glad you were here, and I appreciate your support. If you want more, you can find me over at creationdepot.com, on Instagram at Wendy_literal, or on YouTube under Wendy Literal. Remember, there's 2 T's in all those literals. So now go and put what we just talked about into action. Drop me a line and tell me all about it, and I'll catch you all online. And remember, a rising tide lifts all ships, so take care of one another. See you in the next one. All right, bye.